Hey everyone, today's video is sponsored by Luminar AI and Luminar Neo, which we'll be talking about a little later on in today's video. Today, I've got an editing tutorial for you. I want to show you how I get brown tones in my photos as well as golden hour tones as well, because I feel like the two go really well hand in hand. So this is the photo that we'll be editing today. I will take you through my editing process from beginning to end in Luminar AI, and this photo is of my friend Christina, which by the way, we're going to be doing a portrait photo shoot together really soon, which I'm so excited about. Before I take you through my editing process, one of the reasons that I like using Luminar AI and I find it so easy to recommend, it's because it's such a great software if you don't have a lot of time to edit your photos, and also if you don't have a lot of knowledge or experience when it comes to editing your photos. With Luminar AI, you've got both your tonal and color adjustments that you can make, and you also have a retouching software all in one. So I'm going to show you just a quick edit with this photo first. So this is the photo. I'm going to head into templates, and in templates we have a lot of options that we can choose from, but since this is a portrait, I like the easy portrait templates, and for this photo I'm going to apply high key. So as you can see, it does a nice job editing the photo. Then I'm going to head into edit. Because this is such a golden hour photo, I really want to accentuate that golden hour look. So I'm going to bring up the temperature of the photo as well, and the tint a little bit more into the pinks. And I'll also bring the shadows down slightly and increase the smart contrast to have a little bit more oomph in the photo. If we scroll down here to Skin AI, you can see that the template that we used has already applied some skin retouching to this portrait. So like I mentioned, you don't really need to have any retouching knowledge to be able to edit a photo from beginning to end. But for this tutorial, I want to show you how I edit this photo from scratch. So I'm just going to revert to original. So I'm going to head into Enhance AI and bring up the Accent AI slider. This is the first thing I always do to my photos, as it's going to balance the tones in my image. So it's bringing up the shadows and bringing down the highlights. And this saves a lot of time because usually in light, you'd have to bring down the highlights and bring up the shadows and adjust the exposure. But with the Accent AI tool, it just does that all for you in one slider. The next thing I'm going to do is head to Light and select on Curves. Here I'm going to add a nice little soft S-curve because I love that matte look that it adds to your photos by bringing up the shadow slider. Then I'm going to pull the slider down here to add some contrast back into my photo. Then I'll pull up in the midtones to add some light back into the portrait as well. And since the sky is quite blown out in this photo, I am going to matte the whites too by bringing the white point down. Once I've got all my points down, I like to just adjust them until I'm happy with what the photo looks like. As you can see, we have some beautiful warm tones in the top half of the image, but then the bottom half of the image, which is a little more in the shade, has a slight green, almost blue tinge to it. So I'm going to start correcting that by going into the blue channel of our curve tool. So here I'm going to select the blue shadows point and move it directly to the right, which is going to start adding some nice warmth to those blue shadows. I'm also going to bring the blue curve down here in the black point and then bring it up slightly in the midpoint, just so Christina's skin isn't too green or yellow in the photo. Because we've removed the blue, we've now added a lot of green to the shadows, so we're going to go into the green channel and do the same thing by pulling the black point along the right hand side here, and as you can see, it's going to start adding that nice golden red tones to our photo. I'm also going to bring the greens down here in the midpoints, again just to add that overall warmth to the photo. Next, we're going to head into color, and here we're going to play around with HSL as well as saturation and vibrance. So one of the main aspects to getting those nice brown tones in a photo is to really desaturate your image. So I'm going to bring the saturation down quite low to about -25-ish. And then I'm also going to bring the vibrance down slightly as well. So first I want to start off in saturation, and here I'm slowly going to start bringing back the colors that I want in my image. So I'm going to start off by bringing up the orange slider because we want that nice healthy glow to Christina's skin. And I'm also going to bring the red slider up slightly as well, and the yellow slider. I'm also going to increase our green saturation, and again, another really important thing to do when you want brown tones in your photo is to desaturate the blues. So I'm going to bring them right down. And in this case, we have a lot of blue in the white outfit that we've shot here, so it's also going to make her white outfit stand out even more in the photo. Next, I'm going to head into hue, and here I'm going to play around mostly with the yellow and green slider. So I'm going to bring the yellow slider down to make our background appear more orange and have more of a rust colored look in the background, and I'm also going to do the same with the greens. So any greens that we have left here in the shadows will appear more yellow and orange. To adjust the skin tones, I'm going to bring the orange slider down just a tiny amount and the red slider down as well. Finally, we'll head into luminance, and here I'm going to bring the orange luminance slider up to make Christina pop in the photo a little bit more, as well as the red slider. I'm also going to bring the yellow luminance up so our background, like the leaves here, are a bit brighter, and I'm going to bring the green slider down just to darken any green parts of the image that are left. The next thing I like to do when adjusting colors is I'm going to go into toning, where you can add a color to the shadows and the highlights of your photo. I'm going to start off with shadows and bring up the saturation nice and high so we can easily see what we're doing. And then here you can adjust the hue to whatever you want. So for this image, to get those brown, nice golden tones, I'm going to select this orangey color here, probably a little bit more into the yellows like that. And then I'm going to bring the saturation down so it blends into our photo. Next, I'm going to head into highlights, and again, I'll bring the saturation up so we can see what we're doing. Typically, I like to choose opposite colors when I'm doing toning. So if I have a warm color for the shadows, I'll pick a cool color for the highlights. But this time, I'm actually going to go quite similar to the colors we're using. So here I'm going to go into a greeny yellow color for the highlights. And then again, I'll just bring the saturation down a little bit to blend it in. So I know we've already done a little bit of a matte black look to the photo with our tonal curve, but you can also do that with the matte tool here. So if I increase the amount, you can see that it's going to start fading the blacks of the photo, which I think looks really nice. So I might just do like a double matte to this photo because I think it looks really good. The next thing I want to move on to is the skin retouching. So we're going to head down here to portrait, and I'm going to start with face AI. I want to increase the face light just so we have a little bit more oomph on Christina's face so she stands out in the photo. Then I'll go down to skin AI, and I will bring up the amount very slightly just for some very light retouching in the photo. And I like that even when you zoom in with the skin retouching on, you can still see plenty of texture, so it looks really natural. So we've done some face retouching, but I do also want to adjust a couple of things with her legs as well. So I'm going to do some local masking. I'm going to add a basic layer. And with a fairly small brush, I'm just going to brush over the area of her leg here. So once that's all selected, you can soften the texture of your masking layer by bringing down the structure AI slider. I'm just going to go back into light for a second into our blue curve, and I'm going to bring this point down by like a little pixel, as I feel like her skin tone is looking a little too blue there. So that'll just warm it up very slightly. And I also wanted to show you, if you wanted to do even more color adjustments and add even more warmth to your photo, you can do that with color harmony, just here under color balance. So I'm going to start off with the shadows. I'm going to bring the shadows a little more into the cyans, a little more into the magentas, and decrease the shadows a little more into the yellows. As you can see, it warms up the photo really nicely. Then we'll head into midtones, where again, I'll decrease all these sliders. And finally, I'll go into highlights, where I actually want to add a little bit of red into the highlights. I also want to add some magenta and a lot of yellow as well. So I'm really happy with what the colors look like for this photo in particular, because it is golden hour. So I did want it to be very saturated and very warm. If you want to make your photos look a little bit more brown compared to this, you can still do that with all the adjustments we've made. You just want to head into color, and here, if you decrease your vibrance and saturation, you can control how brown your image appears. So if we bring it down nice and low, we've got a very moody kind of brown photo, and then you can increase it depending on the image that you're working on. So such as this one, I prefer the saturation to be up. And then the final thing that I wanted to show you is that all the edits that we've just made, you can save as your own template to use again in the future. So if you go down here and press on these three little dots, you can press save, and it'll appear here under your template. So I'm just going to rename that to brown tones. So then when you go back to your catalog and select another photo from that shoot to edit, you can apply that template to this photo as well. So if you were interested in trying out Luminar AI, if you liked my process of editing a photo and you think that that's how you would like to edit photos as well, you can use the link in my description to check it out and download it. You can also get it in a bundle at the moment with Luminar Neo as well, which is coming out really soon. and is what I wanted to talk to you guys about in today's video. So there will be a bunch of new features in Luminar Neo. I'm most excited about the addition of layers. I think that will be so useful for editing pictures. I'm really looking forward to trying out the Relight AI tool and also the portrait background removal tool. And some of the other new tools that will be available in Luminar Neo include line removal AI, dust removal AI, and also mask AI, which again will be really handy for editing portraits and landscapes and a bunch of other photos. So let me know in the comments what tools you want to see me try out, because I would love to put Luminar Neo to the test and see how much we can push the program to edit our photos with. But as always, thank you so much for watching. I make new videos every single week, so I will see you all next time. Bye!